Hello, everyone. My name is Darnell McEwen, and I'll be doing my Great Leader Briefing on Malcolm X. I want to say that first, Malcolm X is one of the most influential leaders for the Black community, especially during the Civil Rights Movement. I personally look up to him as far as his teachings and how he carried himself, and just the way his words would just motivate others. It definitely motivated me growing up and to learn about my culture and everything that I came from. Give a little brief background about Malcolm X. He was born in Omaha, Nebraska, and during that time, back in like the 1940s, a lot of black families were living in poverty. His father died at the age of 6, and his mother was put in a mental hospital when he was about 13. So, he became an orphan, and just like many other children in the foster care system, they bounced around from foster home to foster home, and that I'm sure took an emotional toll, and just being a child and not having a secure foundation to build off of, but just all the hardships of that, it led him to going to the streets and doing what he had to do to survive. He committed a lot of burglary crimes and just trying to make it to see the next day and whatnot. And he eventually ended up getting charged with burglary, and he was serving an 8 to 10 year prison sentence. And while he was serving in prison, he was introduced to the Muslim religion, and that really sparked his interest. And he had got a passion for reading, and and because of this actually made a major impact on the black community and civil rights and just the momentum of the African American movement. Um, I would have to say that Malcolm X as a leader, is the characteristics he displayed. For one, he was a very powerful speaker. He had the way his ability was to convey his message and get his point across. It just gave you a sense of conviction that just made you feel like you just had to get up and do something. And it was just he was basically a great motivational speaker. And you know throughout this course we've learned about different leaders of the past, and one that really stuck out with me was Shackleton. He did expeditions to Antarctica and North and South Pole, and I think that they were one and the same because they both had the enthusiasm and optimistic outlook for their team and their followers. And that motivated them to want to do great, and not worry about the negatives of situations, but because they had the faith of their leader and the trust of their leader, and the leader actually believed in them and showed it. That's sometimes all someone really needs. It's just like an encouraging word, or letting them know that they are good and they are worth something. And a lot of times when people receive that, you'll be surprised at the good that they can do, or the good that they're capable of. And a lot of times they weren't even aware that they were capable of such things, but it all works out. Um, I think that his style of leadership, he utilized it's a term that I've learned through text. It's called ethnocentrism, and the text tells us that it's one of those things where it's the tendency for individuals to place their own group, whether it's ethnic, cultural, whatever, at the center of their observations. And that gives them a platform to talk about. And as far as Malcolm X, I mean, who better to speak on the black community than a black man who's lived in it, and seen the worst of the worst, and he's actually been through it. So I think when he was looking within the black community and seeing things that need to be improved, I don't think it was necessarily to to down the black community, but I think his goal was he wanted to be able to like wake up the black community and let them know that you are, great brothers and sisters, and you should think of yourself more, because during that time, with all the hate crimes going on because of the color of someone's skin, a lot of people just didn't really think highly of themselves, and one way to strip the black community, or any community, is to like blind them of their, like, where they come from, and the significance of their culture. And I think that's what one of Malcolm X's goals was, to basically just uplift the spirits and let people know that you don't have to stand and endure oppression of any kind. And I think because of this, a lot of people associate him with being violent, and because Martin Luther King preached nonviolence, but honestly, Malcolm X really, he wasn't an advocate of just straight out violence, but he was an advocate of protecting yourself. And during that time, many black people were dying at alarming rates because of the color of their skin. And he just was not about to just lay down and let that happen. So he spoke out about it, and that was one of the I think that's one of the biggest successes of his legacy, is just his ability to motivate the black community, and let them know that we are great, and that we are capable of doing whatever we want to put our minds to, and don't let the oppressions overcome you, and don't just be great, and be proud that you are black, even though for so many years you've been told that you're not. I think Malcolm X was, I think, one of, maybe, I wouldn't say a failure, but maybe he could have maybe took a different approach on how he wanted to convey himself, because to others, I guess he was intimidating, but at the same time, when you've gone through so much, and you have so much to say, and you just want people to hear you, you can't always come across as a soft spoken young man. You have to get loud, and you have to ignite that fire in others to get their attention. And I would have to say that Malcolm X will forever be a prominent figure in the black community. And I think that a lot of times, there's not enough history given out on him or Martin Luther King. I mean, you have your traditional, the things that they stood for, but when you really go in depth and see what they were about, Malcolm X played a large role in giving back to the community, and being a servant leader, and sacrificing his life for the better good of the black community. And I think that's the ultimate sacrifice. And he's paid the price that we all must pay one day. But at the same time, he could have cowered away and just was, like, I'm not gonna do this because they're threatening my life, they're threatening my family's life. But he saw something within us that he saw within himself, and a lot of times I feel like he saw something in the black community that they didn't even recognize, and he was willing to do whatever it took to see us pull through and to be better. And that's my presentation on Malcolm X. And I totally support Malcolm X, and I believe in his teachings. And I plan to raise my family up and have them know exactly who he is and what he stood for. Thank you for your time.